Well, Nevada, we have been traveling far. In the world, who's ever listening out there on Webland, this is a online radio show, so technically we go all over the world. So we probably have people listening right now in China and France and Germany and all those Syrian refugees probably tuning in to find out what's going on with Trump and Clinton, see if they have a chance to keep the red carpet going so they can just flow on in. If Hillary gets elected, like 550% increase in allowing these undocumented refugees to come in here. They're filling up all the barrels, trash cans on the way across the border where they're getting rid of all their identification because they're not as undocumented as they're claiming to be. Matter of fact, if you saw their documentation, you'd probably find out they're Islamic terrorists is what you'd find out. They're operatives in the terroristic organization. That's called like a Trojan horse. And Hillary Clinton's building it, which Obama started to get these people in the country. And the only reason they do this is because they're potential Democratic voters. If the Democrats increase their base any more than what it already is, no matter how they do it, with tricks, registering dead people to vote, dogs, cats, whatever, of these people working in the polls, like the lady that said after Obama was reelected that she voted like 7 times, her cat voted, her dog voted, and this is someone that works at the polls, so it's probably pretty easy for those people to stack the ballot, if you will. So we have to really, really watch out because we're under attack. Our freedom is under attack. And we have to stop this. And we have to pay attention and be vigilant. These people will do anything. These Democrat, liberal, progressives are despicable people. And they will do any trick in the book to hold on to power. This is what these people are. They're vicious. Look at Hillary Clinton the other day. You know that you've won the argument when you're talking to a liberal or a progressive. When they start calling you names, you know they're out of tricks. Their ideas and their argument failed, so they start calling you names. That's a childish trick, but that's what you resort to when you're desperate. These people are desperate. The last 8-year record of the Obama-Clinton administration has shown conclusively that their policies and their ideas don't work. You look at the economy, look at the world, look at what's going on in the wake of Hillary Clinton as having been Secretary of State. The Mideast is on fire. Germany is totally disrupted. France has got dead people all over the place. Belgium. We have ISIS infiltrating everywhere in the world. That's a cancer that started in the Mideast and is metastasized around the world because of Hillary Clinton and Obama's policies of blind-eyed, lead from behind type ideology that is totally wrong. He thinks that you win wars through ideas, not weapons. I mean, have you ever heard of anything so stupid? When you were in school and you had this schoolhouse bully, and how did you beat this guy? You didn't beat him through ideas. He would punch you harder if you tried to bring an idea up to this creep. They don't understand these things, ideas. Give me a break. And this is Obama, Mr. Sit Around the faculty lounge type Obama, if he was ever that. I mean, I don't know what he was, but things don't get discussed in a productive way in college campus lounge areas. You have these liberal progressive professors that are tenured, that sit around and drink coffee and act like they're this wisdom wonders of the world, and nothing ever gets accomplished. No productivity ever comes out of that. Just more talk, more BS, more crap, more term papers, more whatever. Nothing ever gets resolved. The whole makeup of a guy like Obama is being a rebel rouser.
These people have to make a cause for them to be around. They have to have turmoil and problems so that they can be the one to go to the people and run on a platform that they can fix all these problems. Well, the truth is they created the problems, and they should be able to fix them, but that's not their goal. The goal, for the reason they caused the problems, was to have something to run on, and then when they run on, the last thing they would ever do is fix the problem, because then no one would need them. So what they do is they create more problems to continue the need for them to be reelected, so they can fix the new problems that have sprung up. And these are the people that always have caused all the problems. So why don't people wake up and realize this? Just use your head. It's common sense. When you hear Hillary Clinton up there, all she said the other day in this speech was attacking Donald Trump. And she didn't attack him necessarily on his policies or his positions on anything. She's attacking him on these blatant, broad brush strokes that he's a racist, he's disruptive, he's, you know, trying to, I don't even know what it's just such a joke what this lady says. All these statements are coming from desperation because it's over 2 months before the election, and she's desperate because she's already pulling all these despicable tricks out of the Democrat bag, calling Trump a racist. Who's ever heard of him being a racist before this? He has a record. People know him. He's been around for years and years and years. He started that show, The Apprentice. And he's such a racist. Remember this gal, Amber Grosser, whatever her name was, black lady? She was on The Apprentice as one of the candidates trying to get hired by Trump. And boy, she was quite the snake in this thing. I tell you what, she was a little backstabbing mother humper the way I remember it. But at any rate, she got exposed, of course, and Trump fired her. And I didn't hear anybody commenting over that particular episode that he was a racist in any form or shape. That wasn't the issue. She was a snake, and he exposed it, and he fired her because of it. Now today, where's Amargrosa? This black lady that was fired by Trump on this show. Where is she? Does anybody out there know? Why don't you call in and let me know where she is? 702-493-5222. I bet I won't hear from any Democrat that knows where she is. I'll guarantee you that. But I know where she is. And so you win the prize by calling up. I'll give you the answer. She's working on Trump's campaign. This ex-apprentice participant has been hired by Trump's campaign, by Trump. And she's a big representative because she has a certain amount of fame now, having been on that show. And I think she participated in other shows after that. Like I think they go back to some former participants and they have like a, I don't know what you'd call it, like a get-together, a gathering of former participants. But anyways, she has been on other shows. But now she's working for Trump's campaign, a big supporter of Trump. And they asked her the other day, do you think that Trump's a racist? And she said, absolutely not. I mean, my God. And who's ever said this? Who has ever accused Trump of being a racist until he's run for office? And then because he ran as a Republican, now he's a racist. You can have a black man. You can have Ben Carson. You can have that guy Webb. I think he's a congressman or whatever. He's an ex-military guy. These people, black, whatever, they're a racist. If they're black and they are against the Democrats, you're a racist. Even if you're black, you're a racist. So this is one of the bags of tricks that they have. They pull this card out, and they usually pull it out as the final straw because they're so desperate, they're out of everything else that they can say. They pull this out at the end of the day when they've lost the battle, and they call you a racist. Boy, oh boy, what a pathetic, pathetic party that Democratic Party is. They are so friggin' desperate. And they have no plan. They have no, what's Hillary's plan? She's gonna create hundreds of thousands of millions of jobs. How's she gonna do it? By fixing the infrastructure with tax dollars. What? Didn't Obama try that with a shovel-ready job type scenario? Of course, I guess that was like his other things that he put forth, that you can keep your doctor, your cost of your health plan is going to go down, and all these other lies he said. That turned out to be a lie, and I think he even admitted it, that boy, those shovel-ready jobs weren't as shovel-ready as we thought. No, because you used the money for other things, like maybe giving money to Solyndra, or something like that, another one of your chosen mentors to promote, which all that was a bunch of campaign contributors that got paid off with government-funded project that failed. Went down in flames. I remember Obama over there walking around that Solyndra plant. He might have had a hard hat on, you know, looking like, wow, he's really on top of things, you know. What a great leader. Over there checking up on this new green energy that's going to run the world for the next trillions of years. And oh, what a great plan, you know. Complete failure. Solar's a great idea. We have a sun. There is power to be made there. But the question comes down to, at what cost? We have to remember, we have a finite amount of revenue available to pay for things. Individually, families only have so much money. Everybody is limited to the amount of money they have. Now, some people have a lot of money. Some people don't have any. So the point is, what you're able to do depends upon your wherewithal and what kind of funding you have that you can use to get what you want. Well, this Solyndra, I think, got $500 million, $500 million of taxpayer money. Now, I can remember the day when that was an obscene amount of money. Now it's like every business in the world, I guess a lemonade stand on the side of the street's worth a couple million, but $500 million, and it didn't take long, and it was a complete bust, bankrupt failure. And that's one of those things that Obama and Biden and everybody was promoting from the rafters. You know, what a great productive thing to do. Complete failure. As most of the progressive liberal ideas are. They just fail. You look at all the cities around the United States run with mayors that are liberal Democrats, and they're all miserable failures. Terrible things going on. Their budgets are all broke. Look at Detroit. It's a devastation. I was in Detroit quite a while ago, maybe over 10 years ago. And man, it was terrible. Oh, I couldn't even, I had to spend the night to catch my flight out the next day. And I tell you what, I thought about checking into, I don't know if it was the MGM or something. There's like a 2 or 3 story casino there in downtown Detroit. And I went, what the hell is this? And Detroit was just like a slum. I said, nah, forget it. So I went across the river into Windsor, Canada. And that was an interesting trip, because I'll tell you what I noticed over there in Canada was the hotel, the casino, the people. I swear to God that out of all the people that were there, I bet you 3/4 of them were Muslims. That's what I noticed, and it's really before that was really readily that apparent all over. It was not something that I would normally look for, but I saw that. I couldn't help but seeing that, man, all these people they all look like those airplane pilots that ran into the tower, and it really concerned me. But at any rate, Windsor was a lot cleaner, a lot nicer. Canadians, for the most part, the ones that I've met, are very nice, laid-back people. They have a government that comes and goes, liberalness and stuff, and a little bit on the socialist side in some respects. But they, for the most part, are very decent, nice people. So anyways, I've been in Vancouver. That's a nice town. But anyways, my point is, when you have towns and government that end up being taken over by these progressive movements, you're on the way to failure. Your railroad tracks are heading for the cliff. And just like Greece, and look what happened to Germany and Merkel and all these great ideas to be so open door welcomeness to these poor refugees. Well, you know, whatever they are because of where they were born, and they're that way also because they've failed to control their country, if you will. I know they may have dictators, they may be subject to being killed if they try to do too much, but I mean, what's the old thing, live free or die mantra, I guess, out of New Hampshire? But there's something to be said for that. But I mean, at what point is life not worth it if you're going to be subject to tyranny and government control that doesn't do anything but for the government? That's why our founding fathers they fled tyranny in Europe to come here and steal this country from the native Indians, I guess is what all the liberals will tell you happened. But anyways, we developed, look at the Indians today, boy oh boy, I tell you what, they're not too deprived anymore. The ones I know, they're all billionaires because the government in their usual, don't know what the hell they're doing ways, they end up giving a lot of these Indian areas and sovereignty and whatever, they give them casinos. Well, that was brilliant. That gave them some money, boy, I'll tell you what. And you know, the Foxwoods in Connecticut's a big Indian casino, one of the most successful, I guess, in the world. And that's our illustrious government. I liked it when they started doing these riverboat things, you know, the old days on the Mississippi. They had these gambling riverboats. So these politicians, there's money in gambling. So they got the idea that maybe they can line their pockets with something if they run through this legislation to allow riverboats, if they was lucky enough to be on a town that had a river by it. So these politicians, I bet if you look at it, all this emanated from them. So there was a lot of money made, these things got licensed, and that was the idea that these riverboats, see, they're going to fake the voters out. They didn't want to say, try to pass gambling, because that in and of itself wouldn't work. So you either had to have an Indian reservation, or you had to have a riverboat. So let's go to the riverboat deal, and all these riverboats started setting sail, and most of the cruises, if that's what you want to call them, were at least a couple hours, maybe 3. And what would happen is people would get on the boat, they'd lose their money in 5 minutes, and then they were stuck on the boat for 2 or 3 hours waiting for the damn boat to land so they could get off of it. And nobody knew how to gamble at all. It was a joke. If you do know how to gamble, you go like play blackjack, you play the opposite of the way you should play, and then you could beat them a little bit because everything's going the way it shouldn't go. So if you go the way it shouldn't go, you might win. If you go the way it should go, you lose your ass. So anyway, that's a trick I used to use. But now the riverboats, then they would more or less dock by the river, and they stopped sailing a little bit. That was the first maneuver. They would just not go out. And then pretty soon it was getting hard to really see how this thing was a riverboat anymore because it had permanent sewer lines, permanent electrical lines hooked up to it. Sometimes they were even more or less concreted into the shoreline. And I was at a riverboat, hell, I think it was in Nebraska or Council Bluffs or whatever they call that place. And they had this riverboat, and it was like on dry land. I mean, there was a river there, but it was probably 300 feet away from this supposed riverboat, and it never sailed. It was just like you walked from the hotel, you walked right on this boat, like a hallway connected to the hotel. And then the funniest thing was they were having a concert out in front of this riverboat one night, and I was standing there, I look up at the riverboat, and here's this supposed riverboat captain with the 4 stripes on his shoulders, you know, just standing up there listening to the concert with a couple gals and other people standing there with him. And I'm going, what a goddamn joke. I wonder what this riverboat captain gets paid, because he's probably never set foot in the water ever you know, and what a joke. I mean, Jesus Christ, this government's got to be the most stupidest thing. And I guess what causes it is you have to fake the people out. You can't just get something done without faking them out. The money's in the fake out. You know, you'll never get something done just by doing it. There has to be an angle. There has to be some complexity to it. Like if someone wants to go into the gambling business, there'll be a lot of money in that. So they want to spend money to get money. So they have to bribe somebody. They have to work this thing through. So how are they going to do it? So they fake things out. Like in Nevada, for example, this marijuana type law and these dispensaries, and it's supposed to be medical marijuana. And there's Dr. Reefer, and get your medical permit and this and that. And it's all a fake out. It's all about the money. And then we have judges, retired judges like Judge Bixler. I guess he has a dispensary license. And just interesting how things work, you know. These people used to be in enforcement against drugs, and now they're really drug pushers in a way. And the way things morph into what they never were supposed to be, become what they are, and it's amazing to me. You have these Colorado dispensaries, whatever their law is, and they have these growers now just almost out of the open, selling this marijuana, growing trees right inside these buildings and stuff. And if you're in that business, there's a lot of cash flow. And here's a good one for you. You can't go and deposit money in the bank and pay your bills and stuff by check if you're in the medical marijuana dispensing business. They have some sort of stupid ass regulation that gives you trouble somehow over the way that you do business in the normal course of handling money. There's some kind of a big hoop there that's created another position, another area where the politicians, I guess, are making money, because there's a step they've thrown in the middle there for no reason. And I don't know what it is, because I'm not from Colorado, but I know this stuff goes on. And it's all just crazy stuff. I was talking to a guy here in Nevada that was showing me how this money was supposed to work here, and the money was in the money, not necessarily the marijuana. So by being able to handle the money and the charging and taking credit cards and things of that nature for these purchases, the dispensary, I don't think, can do that. So they had to have these offsets of companies that could do that. And you're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars going through these offshoots for no other reason than somebody, probably a politician, or several of them, or all of them, are making money. So everything's smoke and mirrors, everything's not what it appears to be. We're in quite the country now. We're really becoming fast a third world country. Look at the way that the Clinton Foundation works. That's a pay-to-play type organization. When Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State, this Clinton Crime Foundation, you could get access to the Secretary of State by going through the Clinton Crime Foundation. That prince from Baka Hukamaka, whatever he was, wanted to get access to the Secretary of State, and he had to go through the Clinton Crime Foundation and make a large donation, I guess. I've heard $32 million. I haven't confirmed any of that, so don't hold me to it. But it was a large donation. And guess what? He got a meeting with Hillary Clinton. Jeez. And then I think now they're working on, they probably have the information, but what did that little prince get for that? And I think they know. And they know on other people that have paid to play and what they got in return. And we're developing quite the little scenario with this Clinton Crime Foundation, a pay-to-play organization, operated. And that's the Clintons, from selling the Lincoln bedroom to access on the Business Express plane, to all these deals that were made for money to the Clintons. And boy, what a way to run a country. And that is the way, if you go to foreign countries and you want to do something, anything at all, you got to pay to play. Very simple. You got to pay someone off to get access to whoever it is you need to talk to. And that's third world countries are all like that. And here we are, under the leadership of any of these Clintons, you turn into a third world country. And it's not good, it's not good. That's not why this country was founded. And that's not what made this country great. And if we ever want to return to greatness through a Donald Trump or anybody else, we're going to have to sweep this country clean of all the corruption and all the despicableness that goes on. It just doesn't make sense to me. We're going down the wrong path, and there's more and more of it exposed every day. The other day, I noticed in the daily newspaper that I think the headline was about Judge Ramsey, who I guess had made some sort of a deal with the Judiciary Discipline Committee to whatever, and they made a deal where she would step down without pay in the last 3 months of her term, and in other words, they beat her. Well, what did she do? The article wasn't clear, other than some very broad things that really don't rise to the level of anything much. From what I heard about the case that started all this was a recall petition to have her recalled from her position as judge. And at the time that I heard about this, I looked into it a little bit because the Constitution of Nevada interests me because of my particular case. So I had some interest in seeing what this was all about. And the way it was originally explained was that in the Constitution of Nevada, I forget the articles, whatever sections, but there's something in there that states that you can't recall a judge. You can recall other office holders that have been elected or what have you, but you can't recall a judge. And that's in the Constitution. And this recall effort was unconstitutional. And I think I heard about it on the radio show, this radio show, Radio Tribune. It was Face the Tribune, where Craig Mueller was representing Miss Ramsey, and he explained it that it was unconstitutional and that he had gone before the district court and got shot down, so he appealed it to the Supreme Court. And what the issue was that caused all this was Ramsey was refusing as a judge to increase people's fines from what the statutory requirement was, or the guidelines, sentencing guidelines. The powers to be in North Las Vegas, the mayor, the city manager, they wanted access to more revenue. So they were trying to force these judges to increase the fines that were imposed upon traffic people, you know, speeding, whatever. They wanted the recommendation for a fine. They wanted her to increase them. So that would bring more revenue in. And there was something else going on where somebody was refusing to sign bench warrants or had been removed from their job or something. And Karen Ramsey wouldn't sign a bench warrant as a judge because A, it wasn't her job, or she wouldn't do her part of the job because the bench warrant hadn't been properly processed. So that sounds to me like she was following the law. And then why would you increase somebody's fine just because the city manager or the mayor or whoever wanted extra revenue to the coffers so they could spend it? Seemed to me like what she was doing would be good for the people. We the people, remember us? Sounded to me like it would be good. Anyways, this whole thing may have been over money, and I kind of think it was. So let me ask you this. People that wanted to get rid of her and put up this petition to recall her, maybe wasn't going too well because I believe it is unconstitutional statewide. So that's before the Supreme Court. That hasn't been decided yet, but we'll see what happens. But maybe they decided a better way to go would be to do it through the discipline board, which to me is just a fixed, corrupt organization. They're as corrupted as the whole entire legal system here. Their job is supposed to be oversight to judges, and they have, on this panel, they have a judge, and they have 3 lawyers, and maybe 3 supposedly laymen from the community. Well, I questioned the connections of these three laymen, but anyways, the problem is that if you have 7 people and 4 of them are directly linked to the judicial system, you have a stacked deck, is what you have. You have a kangaroo system, and you're not going to get much oversight from the foxes guarding the foxes. So they went to this commission, I guess, on a petition against Ramsey for some violations or something. The paper was mentioning some very broad things that don't even hardly make sense to me. But anyways, the commission came down, I guess, with a big hammer, and I guess Ramsey decided it would be in her best interest to just bow out and the hell with it. So they beat her. Now, why did they beat her? This corrupt organization, who never does anything really, would come down with this type of a ruling unless the whole thing was fixed. And I smell a rat, because I think this thing started over money. It started over not getting enough money from this judge like they wanted to, so they decided to get rid of the judge and get someone else in there that would raise the people's fines and everything else to get them, more revenue. So I smell a big ass rat. And I'll tell you what, I guarantee you, this state, the whole judiciary is as corrupt as anything I'd ever seen. And now here you have this Karen Ramsey, and I think she wasn't corrupt. So I think the corrupt system got rid of her because she wasn't corrupt. But anyways, I've instructed some of our investigators to check that out a little bit, see what they can dig up on that. Because these are the types of things that really, really interest me. Because corruption is a cancer that's going to destroy this country, it's going to destroy this state, it's going to destroy everything that it comes in touch with. It's kind of like the Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton body count. It keeps going up. People that get associated with them and have controversy end up dead. And that's very curious to me. I smell a rat there. These 3 bodies that have now been tacked onto the list that have associated with the DNC one way or another over that big scandal with Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz and what went on there. This kid that was, I think, 27 years old got shot in the back after he left his apartment at 4 o'clock in the morning. Seems extremely, extremely suspicious. He may have had ties to WikiLeaks over these emails that are now being exposed. And it's just, there's a lot going on here, folks. There's a lot of corruption. And any place the Clintons are, whatever they touch, I guarantee you it has corruption linked with it. During their administration back in the 90s, when they were in the White House, the Clintons, you had one gate after another. I don't know what the final gate count was, but you can't count them on both hands, I know that, and both feet. I think you need more than 20. And with the FBI gate, the travel gate, the Vince Foster gate, everything was a gate. The Rose Law Firm, everything was just gate, gate, gate after gate. And you wonder, is that what the people of this country want to return to? Whatever happened to the idea that our leaders have to have time to govern, to lead, to do management decisions that make sense, get the right ideas and policies implemented? And if you're busy with a distraction, doing something else in relationship to corruption or things that you've done that you have to answer for, you're not doing your job very effectively because you're all tied up with this crap going on. Well, a lot of people, especially Republicans, I think probably all Republicans, they get in a position like that, the proper thing to do is resign because of the impropriety of the way that whatever is going on, you might not have time to do your job. I think Sarah Palin retired as governor or stepped down because she was under some sort of crap because she had been whatever with the vice president or what have you. But she decided to step down rather than fight these charges and stuff that were completely bogus. But it was easier for her because she thought she couldn't effectively govern if she had to fight all this other crap. So she just kind of forget about it. But only Republicans or conservatives do that. The liberals will never give up. But whatever happened, why can Hillary Clinton continue to run for president, and she has more baggage than anybody that's ever run before. How does she run? I don't understand it. If you understand it, please call in 702-493-5222, because it makes no sense to me. This is probably the worst candidate to ever run for presidency. The worst. Barack Obama had no experience when he ran. First term senator, maybe only 1/3 the way through his first term. Never done anything in his life but be a rebel rouser community organizer. Went to every, I guess, Ivy League school in the country somehow, because he probably submitted documentation and applied as a foreign exchange student. I'm sure of that, because all his transcripts and everything else have been hidden. They've at great cost, I think, because nothing's come out. So, I mean, these Democrats, they all have skeletons in their closet. They're all dirty. And Hillary Clinton is the dirtiest of them all. And look at this stuff coming out about these Clinton Crime Foundation. Absolutely. I mean, I don't even know why they're not in jail, because I thought if you sold access to secrets, U.S. secrets, classified information, even if you allowed classified information to get out there, and it emanated from you, and it was your lacks of whatever, paying attention, I think people are in jail today, or they've copped to a pretty big plea of some sort to get out of that trouble. And here Hillary Clinton just continues marching on towards the White House, she thinks. It's not laughable, it's incredible. It blows my mind that a candidate that bereft in problems can run for presidency. I remember a Texas, I think, senator that wrote a book, and he was accused of using his book to raise campaign contributions. So he'd sell influence that way through people buying his book. And he got thrown out of office over that stuff. And here's Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. You pay a lot of money, get access to Hillary Clinton, and then within a few weeks, Bill Clinton's over wherever just got access, giving a $600,000 speech or something. I mean, it's treasonous. These people have sold secrets to the United States to raise cash for themselves personally. If you think this Clinton Crime Foundation isn't a big slush fund for the Clintons, you're naive. And I hear, I don't know, they're probably not subject to any sort of official accounting because they're Democrats and they're above all that, but is worth $2 billion? Could that possibly be true? I guess 140 million on this deal and 30 million on this deal and 25 million from the Saudis. I guess it all adds up. It adds up pretty quick. But that's amazing. And then the administration expense, Chelsea Clinton's $1 million salary, and it be known what else they're paying for. Probably the wardrobe, all food, every incidental expense going, flying around the world on private jets. All this is all picked up by the Clinton Crime Foundation. Now, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who just left the DNC, I think out of total complicity in crimes. I think the DNC fixed the primary election process in the favor of Hillary Clinton. I think they broke laws in doing that. I know they did, and these emails are coming out of showing it. But she resigns in disgrace, and the next hour, within an hour, she gets a job working for the Clinton Crime Foundation. Well, isn't that interesting? She was backing to the hilt Hillary. That was her #1 gal. Bernie Sanders, they just put up there to run as an offset to Hillary Clinton. So he, as bad as he is, he's a devout communist, would make Hillary Clinton look good. That was their plan. We need someone up there that can make Hillary look good. Because without that, she's the worst candidate ever. So he put up Bernie Sanders, and the damn guy almost won. Probably did win if it wasn't for the super delegates. But of course, as Blabbermouth Schultz explained, that we have those super delegates to prevent someone from hijacking the nominee from the control of the DNC. The DNC is going to decide who their nominee is going to be, not some grassroots organization like a Tea Party type thing. No, we're going to have super delegates. We're going to control them 100%, and that's who really is going to pick. That's enough stacked deck that's going to swing any nomination process towards that candidate. Now, I think if you do the math, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's like 700 and something super delegates. If you take that out of the mix, I think Bernie Sanders might have won this up straight. Not by a lot, but I think he won by a little bit. Or he might have lost maybe by 150 or under 200 votes. So anyways, it was a damn close race without the super delegates, if possibly Bernie even won. So I mean, that's something else. Can you imagine a Bernie Sanders who his entire career in politics, I think, has been more or less referred to as a joke? Nobody ever took that guy serious. The party, he wasn't even a Democrat or a Republican. He was an independent. He would vote with the Democrats and lobby with the Democrats or whatever, sit with them, but he wouldn't even make a move to be what he is. I guess maybe he was an independent because they didn't have a devout communist party yet here in America. I think they do have one, by the way. Forget what they call themselves, something communist, whatever. But and I know just the other day they backed Hillary Clinton. What a surprise, huh? Well, anyways. And what about this Bernie Sanders? His net worth, I think, when he got into this thing, was about $500,000. And that's all he was worth. And for a politician that's been in the Congress and Senate, perhaps, however long he's been there, that's a pretty pathetic record when that's all you really have, because most other congressmen and senators have stolen a lot more than that real quick. And here he was worth $500,000, and he goes trotting off now recently in the last month, and he buys a $600,000 house in Vermont on Lake Champlain. Now, Lake Champlain's a big lake. It's got a lot of facilities around it. It's a very nice area. And $600,000 he paid for this house, and on his salary, and the fact that he's not worth much money, that seems a little on the high side. Now, just before he quit, I think the accounting of the month that he quit, he'd raised like $40 million or something. Where is that money today? I'm sure something was worked out with Hillary, that she probably got most of that money, and that's another trick. And I wonder how much old Bernie got kicked back to him. Gee, you think he bought the house with that money? I wouldn't doubt it. I don't believe and trust anything that these Democrats do, ever. And Bernie's so bad, he gives independents a bad name. For the most part, independents have a pretty decent name. But I don't know. And now Bernie's out there actively, I guess, campaigning for Hillary. So something stinks, folks. Something is very smelly here. As usual, anything to do with the Clintons are going to smell. Is that what you really want in the White House? Give us a call, 702-493-5222. Does anybody want this lady in the White House? I don't see it. And then you look at the polls, up by 10, up by 12. You go, you're kidding me. I mean, that's a big number. And there's no way in hell. That is so wrong. It's pathetic. And I think I heard a good possibility today, an idea someone had, that Donald Trump had a lot of success with The Apprentice, which made him a reality TV star. And his popularity and his notoriety is big. And those types of shows, reality TV, are popular, but a certain type of people follow those shows. And they're all over now. There's so many reality TV shows. Everything is reality TV almost. Well, there's people that are stuck on it. They're hooked. So they watch reality TV from day to night, and they know Donald Trump. And these are probably not the type of people that answer the phone to take part in polls. So I think pretty much these people go unannounced, if you will. So I think there's a huge, huge block of Trump supporters that have never been asked who they're supporting. But because Trump is a reality TV star, they're going to vote for Trump if they vote. So I think the polls are totally construed. They're wrong. And you have other people that I've learned to not like very much. I used to like Perino on Fox News, George W. Bush's ex-press secretary, Dana Perino. I thought she was reasonably intelligent, but she's putting forth that these polls, she made a mistake in 2012. She was misinterpreting. She thought that the polls were wrong, and she was saying so, on Romney in particular, and the polls proved to be right. So now, what does this bimbo do but say, well, she was wrong then, so it must have been backwards thinking on her part. So now she goes and flips and says that the polls are probably right and Donald Trump's losing big. So she doesn't know if he has enough time to make up for the deficit that he's in. Now here's a supposedly conservative witch, in my opinion now, that's saying this false stuff, misinterpreted. It's a little different in 2012, where you had a presidential candidate who was an incumbent. He was the president, and you compare the poll numbers there to the poll numbers today, and you're talking about two complete different characters, two completely different scenarios. And maybe the poll proved to be a little more correct in the previous election, 2012. But this election, everyone will have to agree, has been so much different over the way and the format and how things were done in the previous election that one's going to have to wonder, wow, maybe the polls are going to really blow it this time. But not Dana Perino. She'll spit anything out there, whether it supports or whether it kills a Republican candidate. She doesn't care. If she was a Democrat, she wouldn't last 5 seconds. Because the one thing you can't do as a Democrat is tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you're gonzo. So, anyways, I thought I'd throw that out there, something to think about. Maybe there is this massive organization that's in the underground, as they say, undercounted voters, that's going to come out for Donald Trump because maybe they're mad and they're not documented right now. By that I mean their leanings are not been documented because no one's called them up. People don't know they exist. But boy, if they show up, they could become a force on this nation. And let's hope so, because this country needs something. We need a force. We need somebody to straighten this country out. And it's not going to be Obama. It's not going to be Hillary. So we need Donald Trump. And all the negative stuff they say about him, where does that come from? You know, this mainstream media, they spit out these words, but they don't have any substance to the words. Well, how can Donald Trump is one of the most disliked men in America? Where does that come from? Where does he's a racist come from? These are all lies. Remember all the stories about his dates, his former dates were more or less molested by Trump? No, they were confused. It was Clinton that's the molester, but they accused Trump of it, and the people, these dates that were written about as being these molestees, say, no, Donald Trump was a perfect gentleman. He never, so completely debunked everything. But it's a nice try, and I don't know the way these despicable liberals think. They think they do all these tricks, so everybody else does them too. So when they accuse you of a trick, you obviously have done it, and they're shocked when it comes out that you didn't do it, because they don't know how to respond to that. They've been shut down, and that just kills them, because they don't know how to respond to that. So they call you a racist. That's what they do, folks. So if you see any of these liberal progressives out there, like Hillary Clinton, calling Donald Trump a racist, have yourself a good laugh. As a matter of fact, laugh right in their face, because that's a lie. Well, anyways, thanks for listening, folks. See you Monday.